It's day 2 here in Davos, and the action certainly has picked up a notch. The sun, too, meanwhile, has picked up a notch, Shweta, and we welcome that, don't we?
Absolutely. Much relief from the freezing cold. It is shining, and that's the message that we seem to be getting from all the delegates, that yes, the sun seems to be shining finally on the global economy as well. But the big high point on day 2 here at the World Economic Forum was, of course, NDTV's session. Nami.
It was a really big one at that, and focusing on the BRIC countries. So Vikram Chandra, of course, moderating that panel. But we had eminent speakers, the likes of our Commerce Minister Anand Sharma, as well as the Indonesian Trade Minister Gita Wijwajan. And Shweta, he made really salient points. And there are 2 points that I want to talk about.
Sure.
One, he said the difference between the China and BRICS, the rest of the BRICS always comes into focus. And he said, in China, if you want a road done, you call up and say, listen, I want to invest in a road. The next day, they're making that road. And it doesn't happen in any other country, be it India and Indonesia, and we really need to prop up on that. And secondly, he talked about the WTO, which is a huge issue. And he said there will be a revival in terms of Doha talks. He's hopeful that India will come on the board. This is something we heard from Pascal Lamy yesterday as well, when you got to that NDTV interview with him, saying Doha is back on the table. He's actually on his way to India post-Davos. He's going to sign that trade facilitation agreement, which makes exports and imports much easier, and then pave the way for perhaps an eventual sealing of this long-awaited deal.
Indeed, long awaited. And let us first tell our viewers why Davos is so important for India this year. Many times we see people dismissing Davos as nothing but hot air. You've got top delegates coming here, whining, dining, networking. But what comes out of it? Well, I can tell you this much, that this time India is saying we mean business. The Indian delegation working overtime to convince foreign investors that India is an attractive investment destination. Given what's happened over the last few months, they have tried to revive the overall confidence in the economy. Our Commerce Minister Anand Sharma, for instance, holding a series of bilateral meetings. He particularly, in an interview to NDTV, reacted very sharply to the Supreme Court's recent observations on FDI, when the top court actually questioned if it was a mere political gimmick. The Commerce Minister told NDTV it's important that we don't confuse investors, and also the separation of powers between the executive, legislature and judiciary needs to be respected. Let's listen in. Commerce Minister Anand Sharma is here in Davos, hard selling India's investment story. Mr. Sharma, you're obviously holding important bilateral meetings with top retail giants after we've seen that very important FDI vote win. What's the response looking like?
Well, there is enthusiastic response. There is much interest. It's a clear message that we have given, that not only we have an abiding commitment to reforms, but to put in place policies which would attract investments. Recent decisions have definitely sent that signal, which has resonated across the major capitals of the world, and I could feel that here. Yesterday, over 12 top CEOs of the world have already met me one-on-one,
Right.
Indicating clearly that they want to engage more with India. There are some who wanted more clarity about our policy regimes, particularly on single brand and multi-brand, and which we were able to give. And I'm sure that they feel now convinced that this is the right time to engage more. It's not only the single brand and multi-brand, but also in civil aviation, the banking amendment, as well as the insurance bill, which has been cleared by the cabinet. And we hope that the same will be cleared by the parliament too.
Mr. Sharma, there have been obviously some concerns. So while you're here in Davos really trying to woo foreign investors back home, India's apex court, the Supreme Court, has actually questioned if the FDI and multi-brand retail policy was a mere political gimmick. How would you respond to that?
Well, I do not know in what context it was said. Executive policy decisions are serious decisions, and the constitutional demarcation is very clear. What an executive domain is, what the legislature domain is, and what the domain of the judiciary is. It's important for all the three to respect that separation of powers and not to transgress into the areas which do not belong to them.
Is this a classic case of where you feel the judiciary is overstepping its boundary into the executive domain?
A conflict with the judiciary,
right.
But that has to be borne in mind that it was an executive decision which is very much within the ambit of an elected government in our parliamentary democracy. But it went beyond that. It went to a parliamentary debate and vote. And both the houses of parliament, the government's decision has been endorsed, whether in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. What is left after that is to implement.
So are you surprised with the Supreme Court's reaction?
Well, you see, we should not send a message which confuses or demoralizes investors at a time when the Indian economy is going through a critical phase. And when such decisions are made, it was only in December that the Parliament debated and voted.
Right.
Now, you can't expect investment decisions which are serious business decisions or propositions to be made by investors will come in with hundreds of millions or billions of dollars or pounds. To be taken in a jiffy, in a day or two. They take time, and we have to bear that in mind. Even for the, say, IKEA, the single brand decision,
Right.
it has taken months and months and months, and finally there is absolute clarity and it has gone through.
Right.
So it does not happen in a week's time. For that matter, even in the court's judgments are not given instantly, they do take time.
So the other point that has been raised, of course, by the Supreme Court is that have you seen real investments coming in? And you're saying it is going to take time. You're confident.
Investments are coming in. I'm not entering into a conflict with the Supreme Court. As I said, I do not know in what context this observation was made. But one thing, the separation of power under our Constitution must be respected. Legislature and executive decisions, which are well within their domain, ought to be respected. Elected governments are accountable. They are accountable to the Parliament. They are accountable to the people. The sovereignty of the people is vested in the legislature. That's what I know as a Minister of the Republic. Whatever we do is to serve and uphold the supreme national interest. And once you are in a democracy and you have to go back to your people, you take all factors into consideration. Whether it's job creation, whether it's your farmer, whether it's your small shopkeeper, is the political leadership which is more conscious and sensitive to these matters. Because if we are not sensitive to all these issues, then the people will react, and we don't want adverse reaction from our people.
Sure, the Supreme Court has once again raised an issue which has really
I'm
been
not
at the heart of.
I don't think that it is a policy issue where the Parliament has voted should be discussed or debated. We have to move on.
All right, we have to move on. Also talking about your meetings with the Tesco chief that has already happened, Walmart that you're hoping will happen today. Share with us details about their plans and whether they're bullish in India.
Well, yesterday I had the Tesco chief, the Lloyd's Insurance Company chief, the BA system, among others, who have met me.
Right.
And they are very serious about engaging more with India. So you have people in aviation, you have people in defense, you have people in multi-brand retailing, in agro-processing. And today in the afternoon, we have the round table for the global investors.
Right.
I can say one thing, that last year there were questions whether government will take these decisions, whether these policies will be put in place. Now, since that has happened, and we are also on the manufacturing side, we have approved 12 national investment and manufacturing zones, which are integrated, self-governing industrial townships. The message has gone. And I do hope that 2013 will be better than 2012, which has been a difficult year when it comes to economic growth, when it comes to investments. I am optimistic about 2013.
Do you see the perception of India changing, especially given the spate of new initiatives that the government has taken over the last few years? Because it was a real worry about India losing its sheen, the fact that India is no longer an attractive destination for foreign investors. Is that sentiment changing?
Well, ironically, the perception, yes, but perception and reality are always different. India has remained throughout an attractive destination for foreign investors, but now even that perception would change.
Right.
It's very clear that our global partners see India as a country which is well governed, as a government, policymakers who are serious, who have conviction, and who have the firmness to take decisions.
All right, here's hoping you all the very best in convincing foreign investors about the India story. Many, many thanks for talking to us, Minister Sharma.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
India's #1 news app. just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for Retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.